What is going on? What's happening, folks? What is happening? Man, it has been a crazy day. What's up, Colin? John Rothberg, thank you, sir. We'll get you a wrench for hitting the like button. Everybody should hit the like button. We ain't doing no coconut oil tonight, Randy. You dirty bastard. Can y'all hear me all right? So, the last 24 hours have been pretty crazy. I know that Ryan's probably not in here yet. What's up, Patrick? Good to see you guys. Good to see everybody. Man, yesterday, uh, I thought that maybe doing that AR-636 series would help some people out, but I never thought that it would, create like a small explosion the way it did, man. I am up like at least 96 subs since yesterday. In fact, if you're here right now in the chat and you haven't subscribed to the channel, go ahead and hit the subscribe button, ring that bell, and man, there is the reaction to that has been outstanding, and it's only been a day. Thank you, Michael. I hope that they help everybody out, and we can certainly use this forum. Reckham Roy, what's up? We can use this forum to answer questions about the series, or leave comments in the chat on the series. Like I said, I know Ryan's probably not here yet, but huge thanks to our buddy, our pal, Pilot Ryan, for doing the kind of a lead-in intro, as well as putting those videos on a playlist on his channel. That's been a huge boon, and I just can't believe the reception that it's gotten so far. So, Victor Shamulus, good to see you, all the way from Thailand. Yep. So, thank you guys. Thank you guys for tuning in, and for for the nice comments and the questions and stuff that we've gotten so far on the AR-636 series. And I hope that it continues to be a resource for people for years to come, because the AR-636, I mean, we all know, even if they discontinue that thing, there's, Lord knows, man, probably 100,000 or more of those receivers out there. And maybe I'm overestimating how many airplanes Horizon Hobby sells, but uh, you know, they gotta sell a lot of airplanes. They gotta sell a lot of them. And now all their bind and fly planes are coming with that AR-636. Lord knows how many they've sold standalone. There's got to be 100,000 plus units out there. So, if that series can be a resource for people long after they're discontinued, but there's still plenty of them in the sky, that's awesome. That was the goal. So I hope they help, man. Ethan RC, good to see you. We're going to give Mr. Ethan a wrench here. The next newly released airplane. Man, if I could buy all of the next newly released airplanes, that'd be awesome. But there's so many of them coming out. Man, I love the Avanti too. That is an awesome airplane. Anybody that doesn't have one, you are missing out. I'm telling you, that is that's a great airplane. Randy, it's a marathon, man. It's not a sprint. You don't have to watch them all in one night, but it's definitely there to get you started, and it's awesome. You definitely want the Avanti, unless you have something comparable. I mean, if you don't like the Avanti, that's cool. If you've got an L-39, that's an awesome airplane too. If you've got the T-33, that's an awesome airplane. They're all awesome. So you gotta. Yeah, I still haven't flown my Havoc yet. Well, I know, Patrick. I still haven't gotten my January plane yet. But I know what it's gonna be. I just don't know if I'm gonna be able to get it when I want it. Um, yeah, so because we just moved out of our old house, I gotta wait for some stuff to come in from that, and then I'll be able to jump on that. Chris Reynolds, good to see you. That's how we know when there's new folks to the chat. Welcome to the chat, Chris. It's good to see you. Yeah, I know I need to get on it, man. So, I know I mentioned last week, like I definitely want. I've got my eye on that P-51, and there's other stuff that that I want to get that's not like super pricey. Um, and some of them are like older models. So I I still have my eye on like the Dynam Waco. Because that just seems like a biplane that I can get behind, or the Amy just walked by. Um, I like the Waco, I like the airframe, and the Dynam, seems to be the only one out there that's of a decent enough size that I'd want to fly it. I know that they have a little UMX Waco, but I'm not a big fan of the little UMX model. But the Dynam, as crappy as Dynam may be, I think that there's, and sorry if Bobby's listening. Sorry, man. But as crappy as they may be, I think that there's a lot of potential in the airframe. So even if I have to swap out like all the electronics and the servos and whatever, I still want the airframe. So what's up, Ryan? Hey, now that he's in the chat, I'm going to say it again, Ryan. Thank you so much for putting that playlist on your channel and making that intro video. The subscriber count has shot way up in the last little over 24 hours now. I think we're sitting at like 26 hours, and I'm up almost 100 subscribers. So that's awesome. Thanks a lot for doing that, man. We're almost sitting at 350 subs now, and that's incredible. So and I mean, guys, the AR-636 is not the end of it. There's more to come. There's more to come, and we have some really a really cool video that hopefully I'll be able to put up by the end of the week. I've got something really neat coming that I think everybody's going to enjoy. Let me tell you where I'm at. Let's see. I'm at 343 subscribers now, man, and that's insane. You know, up from like 237 yesterday to 343 today. That's crazy. The LXP40. Who's selling that, Patrick? Is that coming out of Banana? Yep, Guniac might have something to do with the next video that I'll be making. So keep your eyes peeled on that one. I think that everybody here in the chat and all the subscribers, everybody that sees that video is gonna love it, and I think it's gonna get some awesome attention. Yeah, you know, I have had a couple of Patrick. Is that's the big P40, isn't it? I think I saw one of those recently on another channel, um, and it looked like a pretty freaking big plane. Yeah, that's a big bird. And and I'll tell you that Husky, you know, looks like another plane that I may be getting into. You know, the other thing that I'm going to be doing, obviously, it has to be done, especially with the with the success of the AR-636 series. I mean, it goes without saying that as soon as an AR-637 hits the streets, I need one. I need to have one, and I'm going to work it up. And do something similar for the AR-637T. But I really think that the AR-637 is going to be worlds easier to program because it's all forward programmable. And and just to give you guys, kind of an idea of what to expect with forward programming, because that's something that's been around for a little while now, with the more expensive receivers and like the IX12 and the DX18, some of the more expensive kit from Spectrum. What that forward program is going to do for us is whatever we have set in the transmitter. So if we do, like we still have to tell the receiver what its orientation is. So like pins forward, label up, pins back, if it's on its side, whatever. We still have to tell it what the orientation of the receiver is. But that's almost the end of it. We have to let it get calibrated inside the airplane. But anything that we set up in the radio, so when we set up our our servo travels, our sub trims, our servo reversing, the the gains are all set in the everything is done in the transmitter now. So there's not you don't have the need for that PC interface anymore. It's going to be awesome. So I'm really looking forward to getting a hold of an AR-637T and working that up and showing you guys how much easier it is to use the AR-637 as opposed to the 636. But like I was saying earlier, that doesn't make the 100,000 plus AR-636s on the street go away. So if you have one, I mean, they're still awesome. But let's we work with what we got, man. Sometimes you play the hand you're dealt, and if the AR-636, I mean, if I have them, I'm going to use them. And they're awesome receivers. There's no reason not to, unless you have to have that smart telemetry, which is awesome in its own right. But I'm just going to work with them. So I'm going to have the AR-636s, obviously, and I'm definitely going to be jumping on that AR-637 bandwagon. So that's awesome. What else? Yeah, Victor, Banana is kind of stepping up their game, and they have been for a while, right? So it used to be like everything that was coming out of Banana was LX, and it was of questionable quality, and they didn't have the best reputation on the planet, but now, it's not so much that LX is stepping up their game, but Banana, I mean, they're another one of those HSD um, dealers. They may not be the best HSD dealer, but that was a big step for them, to finally carry a quality airframe. Um, Obviously RC Jetworks, I think, is a better, and now uh, HSD Jets USA, is going to be the exclusive U.S. distributor. So that's kind of a big deal, and that's something else. I know that Ryan and Andy, they talked about that, pretty extensively on Saturday. But I think that that's a good topic, for discussion as well. I think that that the upcoming go live date of, I want to say it was February 6th, for the new HSD Jets USA website, hsdjetsusa.com. The containers that they have coming to the United States, the increased parts availability, so all the folks that had HSD jets that were afraid to fly them, man, now we can get those jets, fly the crap out of them. If you break them, whatever. Um, get you some spare parts, man. You don't have to buy like an entire kit just to have, a spare retract. Yeah, yeah, and I think that there's a lot of people that were hesitating, to pull the trigger on an HSD jet because they heard that the parts availability was so, was pretty restrictive, and now, with Andy kind of running the show here in the U.S. market, and excuse me, and parts availability is going to start getting to where we expect it to be. I think that's going to do wonders for HSD sales in general here in the United States. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how that plays out, um, and which HSD models, start selling really well. Um, if he is able to really start pushing the turbines hard, or if it turns out that that once he starts getting these things in stock, if the EDFs, start really outselling the turbines. So that'll be interesting to see how that plays out. I'm kind of looking forward to, to there being another, really quality airplane available to us here in the United States. Obviously we have free wing, and the FMS E-flight combination, I really think has started to make, to get free wing to open their eyes a little bit, like they're not the only player in the EDF game anymore, and now we got HSD, and that level of competition is going to be really good for the hobby, I think. So it's going to force everybody to push their game just a little further, um, and make everybody kind of step up to the plate. So I'm really happy that HSD is going to start getting pushed here in the U.S. To a broader audience with parts availability and everything. And I hope that Andy knocks that out of the park. And I think Andy mentioned that they were going to be releasing a plane, or maybe they already have one, that's like 120 millimeter 12S EDF. Like, which plane is that's going to be like a 120 freaking 120 millimeter 12S EDF? Yeah, is it the T-33? I mean, that's crazy. That's a big ass plane. Yep, and I think that he was saying like all of their planes, both electric and turbine. So the EDFs and the turbines all come with brakes. You know, so that big old 120 millimeter 12S T-33 is going to have brakes on it. I mean, that's going to be a pretty wicked plane too. You know, and I'll tell you, the only thing that I'm even hesitant about with like the HSD models isn't the quality, because the quality is there. It's the price, man. Those are expensive planes, but you know, if you got the coin, get it. Relax, farmer man. So Bledsoe, the T-33 that you have, that is the turbine version of the T-33, right? That isn't that the turbine, or is that the EDF? Randy, are you making a series Y connector or a parallel Y connector? Either way, it's pretty simple. So yeah. So that's my understanding, is that the EDFs and the turbine HSDs, you know, they're the same dimensions. You know, that obviously there's a lot of differences in the fuselage between the EDF and the turbine, you know, because they have to make it hold a fuel tank, and it's got to hold you know, the pipe that goes in the back to keep the heat from melting the foam, and you know, it's got to be able to hold a turbine instead of an EDF. You know, I mean, there's some substantial differences between the EDF and the turbine. So I kept I kept asking that stupid question. Ryan, are you guys getting the F-16 and the T-33? Yeah, y'all are doing the EDFs, right? Y'all aren't ready to go down the turbine route. Oh, you're doing a servo Y connector. Well, that's a whole different story. Yeah, Patrick, I don't know how I haven't seen that thing for me, you know, or how I haven't seen that HSD F-16 yet. Or I may have, man. I don't know. I just, I think I would have remembered seeing a huge F-16 at the club. Yeah, yeah. You have a few. I'm still working on my small collection. Yeah. So you know, flying a turbine, I don't know that that's the holdup for a lot of folks. You know, I think the holdup for a lot of folks is the price. You know, when yeah, I may be able to get like an HSD turbine airframe for what is it, like $1,600 or something like that. But the turbine itself costs just as much as the airplane. That's crazy. Yeah, I think that what yeah, I mean the price, the entry fee for, for turbines, the restrictions that you run into on where you can and can't fly a turbine, the maintenance that goes along with that, having to do the maintenance on that engine, uh, you know, having kerosene all over the place and the fire extinguishers and everything else I mean, there's a lot that goes into, flying and maintaining a turbine compared to, flying and maintaining an electric plane, that's for sure. Yeah. Yeah, Patrick, me too, man. I'm when I was doing cars, I had a lot of nitro cars, and they were fun at the time. Um, but I don't know. I don't know that I want to mess with a nitro airplane. The battery technology has come so far, and they're so much lighter. As far as battery packs and power density and everything else that you can get from from an electric model these days. So why go through the hassle of running a bunch of nitro and rebuilding the motor every now and then and having to do all the prep work after you're done running the motor and putting 3-in-1 oil up in there so the castor oil doesn't frickin' gum up and ruin your motor. I mean, nitro motors are, I mean, they're loud and obnoxious and they're cool and I mean, there's a lot to like about them. I think they're fun, but man, they they take a lot of work. And so far, my electric planes, I mean, these things have been a breeze. I haven't had to do like motor maintenance. I mean, they could probably use a little squirt of electrical cleaner, to get some of the carbon deposits and stuff out of there. But, with brushless motors, you're not going to get anywhere near the amount of like carbon buildup and stuff inside your motor and armature that you did back in the day when people were running brushed motors. So, I mean, electric's come a long way. What's up, Kenny? you know, yeah, that's probably one of the good things. If there is a good thing about running nitro or running gas, it's that you are going to get longer flight times. But I just have a feel. I mean, the batteries just keep getting better and better, and I've only been in the hobby for 3 years now, going on 4 from the airplane side, um, and the batteries have made a huge improvements since then. And I think that they're only going to continue to get better, as the wacky, battery scientists that put those things together find ways of squeaking out more and more power density. I think that we're going to be looking probably in the next 3 years of EDF flights, exceeding 6-7 minutes at like full bore the whole time. 10,000 milliamp packs that are the size of current 5,000 milliamp packs. I mean, they're going to figure out how to do it, and when they do, I think that that's going to open up a lot of, a lot more doors for the people that have been like slow to let go of their nitro planes. When everything about electric planes outperforms, outlasts the nitro planes. I mean, at some point they're gonna. Yeah, well, I take that back. The diehard nitro guys are always gonna fly nitro, but there's just less reasons to go that route. Dude, Kenny, I I don't even think I have a 26-minute attention span. Like my apprentice on a 3 cell 3200 pack. I can get about 14 minutes, probably 15 minutes of flight time. And after 15 minutes of flying, man, I'm ready to put that plane on the ground. Um, I don't see how some of you guys do it that have like the gliders that you can keep in the air for like an hour. Man, I'm ready to like call it after 14, 15 minutes of flying, like one continuous flight. I got to put the sticks down, man. My arthritis starts to kick in, and I don't even have arthritis. Dude, Farmer Man, you've never seen that? You've never seen the wings of an airplane just fold up? It's true, Shadow. She would definitely concur. Oh, is that the ticket? Get one with a flight controller and just stick it in like loiter mode, altitude hold, just let it just fly around for a little while you just don't even pay attention. Just have a spotter up there that can show you where it was. Right. Yeah, so I think that's one of the benefits to having a smaller car is I normally can't bring more than two, maybe three airplanes to the field at a time. But there's definitely some folks that are at CCRC, at the club that Patrick and I fly at that, they'll come out with, and Patrick does it, they come out with big old pickup trucks, trailers, they'll come out there with 15 different airplanes to fly around. I don't know that I've ever seen Patrick out there with 15, but he'll definitely bring five, six, seven airplanes out to the field, and we're and and like a whole big case full of batteries, and it's every airplane is a different one. And I'm pretty much the same way. There's not a lot of airplanes that I'll fly twice in a row. If I bring multiple airplanes out to the field, I'll usually try to fly. I'll alternate between them. Um, but for the most part, or if I'm going out to, to fly a plane for testing purposes. So whenever I did a lot of the modifications to the Viper, I threw the Viper, three, four times in a row. This Avanti, I'll fly it several times in a row because I'm always kind of messing around with it, changing some things up to get it to fly better. But for the most part, I'll alternate between planes, and I'll bring like a variety pack. If I bring my little 64 um, if I bring my little 64 millimeter EDFs, I'll throw those in the mix, and they're easy to throw in the car. I can stick both of them in the front seat while I still have everything else in the back all jammed up. And that's another reason that I'm kind of looking forward to getting this P-51 is I don't have a lot of prop planes, but every time I fly them, I remember why I liked them. So that P-51 I think is going to be, certainly the highest performance, prop plane that I've got, but that may kind of trigger, I'm going to go and have propeller day, and then I'll have an EDF day, and you know I'll never say I'm gonna have a UMX day, but you never know, man. I don't need to go to the field to fly UMX. Yeah, I got you. And that was one of the reasons that I was looking at the that P-51 is the wings. Even though it's just the tips, even though it's just the tips that pop off, um, they're so easy to pull the tips of the wings off. Which is basically like the root of the wing is still attached to the plane, but basically from the ailerons out, they just pop off, and that should be really easy to break that down after a day of flying. You don't have any screws to undo, nothing. Just pop and off to the races. So, and there's definitely some planes, like the Havoc and the Viper that are EDFs that have like that one piece wing, and I don't like taking those guys apart. So, um, anytime I bring those planes, I'm going to be limited on space as well because I don't want to take them apart. Mm-mm. Yeah, I haven't seen the MiG 15 UMX plane. Does that have like the same EDF? That MiG 15, does it have the same EDF that the A10 has in it? Like little 5 blade EDFs? Because that little UMX that little UMX A10 is uh is not the best. Yeah, I haven't seen that plane before. It's a neat looking plane, but I have not seen it before, and I'm not sure, you know, if I would care for it or not. I'm I'm willing to try anything. I always talk bad about, well, not really bad, but like I'll never own a model of a Russian plane or a German plane. I mean, that's not 100% true. I know a lot of folks are like, oh, you got to try a BF 109 at least once. You got to try a Focke Wolf. You've got to try, like this SU 30. Meh. I'm just not I've never been a fan of enemy aircraft. Did they have a UMX F-16? That had to have been a little guy. Um, yeah. When? I don't know. I never saw. I never saw that little UMX F-16. That must have come and gone before I got into the hobby, or I was just never paying attention to jets back when I first started. Yeah, that's what I found with the shadow with the A10. One of the guys at the club, he brought out one of those little UMX A10s, and it just didn't seem to want to get out of its way. It was not. It wasn't very fast at all. I mean, the little EDFs were just screaming, and I was surprised that it had enough thrust to keep it airborne. But I mean, it it flew, I guess, as well as all the other UMX planes that I've seen. It was pretty squirrely. It didn't have a lot of it didn't have a lot of forward thrust. It wasn't it didn't do very good. I wasn't impressed with it. Yes. Um, I did see that little UMX A10 hit the ground and it broke, and that was a little disappointing, because I've seen some of those other little UMX planes and they can hit the ground. I mean, like the Timber. I mean, that thing, everybody knows that little UMX Timber is an amazing little airplane. And I mean, that thing can take a licking. You can beat the crap out of that little UMX Timber. And the same with like the UMX, what is it? The UMX Cub. Um, I think it's a Cub, little 4 channel plane. That thing takes a beat down. So, I mean, I've seen those things just fall out of the sky. No, not the Carbon Cub, Farmer Man. It's the little UMX model, same size as the little UMX Timber. You can beat the dog poo out of those, and they're awesome. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It is the little champ, isn't it? Isn't it like the little white and blue plane? I don't know. Let me do my weekly visit to Horizon Hobby, so I know what airplanes I'm talking about because I've seen tons of them, and I always forget like which airplane is it? I forgot. So let's look for Ultra Micro Sport Cub S. Yeah, those things you can you can beat the crap out of a little Sport Cub S. Which one is the champ? Oh, the champ. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That looks like a little old school cub, like the classic, white Piper Cub model. The champ. That's a 3 channel model, isn't it? Isn't that rudder only? Like throttle, elevator, and rudder. Yep, and I mean, I've seen some folks, in fact, on Wesley's channel, on the Mary Boozer's channel, they just had a video of them all flying around with the little UMX Ultrix, and that looks like a neat little plate also. So there's some of them that that I like pretty well, but for the most part, none of the UMX planes outside of the UMX Timber, really get me excited about an airplane. But the UMX Timber, I mean, that thing is got to be the best selling UMX plane they've got. It sells so well that it's on back order, and because it's Chinese New Year, we're not going to see him again until probably March or April. Yeah, the Pitts is not a bad looking plane. I just think it like in or here's what I assume, you know, having not flown or seen one of the UMX Pitts. What I have seen is that the little Pitts airplanes need to carry a little bit of speed, not a ton, but they're not real good slow flyers because of the short stubby wings. And I would think that they need to carry a bit of speed, you know, to keep the thing up in the air. Now, obviously, these little UMX planes are really light, you know, so the wing loading is going to be pretty light on the thing. But um, it seems like it would not perform as well as you would expect. But you know, if it'll rip, then I'm sure it probably flies great. And I mean, it's hard for me to talk bad about a Pitts because I mean, one of my favorite prop planes out there is still that P2, you know, Prometheus Carbon Z. That I'll get one someday. I don't know where it's going to come from, but I'll get one someday. Oh, nice, Patrick. I guess you got plenty enough room, you know, when you're flying the airplane home. Yeah, that was something that was kind of fun about you know going on deployments in the Navy. We were able to get a lot of things, you know, and in foreign countries, usually for a lot cheaper than you can get them for in the United States. And you know, we had a lot of room on a submarine to store stuff. We didn't have any room for people, you know, but there was a lot of room to like stick things like a little airplane or something like that. Like I could have fit, you know, plenty of airplanes in the outboard behind, you know, behind gear and equipment. But at the time, I wasn't into flying. I had a lot of cars. So, Reckham, the extra 300. Let me do a quick little hunt for you. So the extra 300, that extra 300 that you've got, Roy, is that the 1.3 meter? Um, you got the 1.3 meter plug and play? All right. So, Reckham, I have the file that you need to load into your AR636 to basically make it a bind and fly version um, of the extra 300. So we just got to figure out like what the orientation of the receiver is, and if you have the USB programming cable, you can load the Spectrum SRM file into the AR636 that I sent out to you, and it will make it perfect. It'll fly just like you bought it as a bind and fly model instead of a plug and play. So that's an easy day. We just got to get you the USB programming cable. So if you already have a USB programming cable, you know, with the Spectrum model file is out and about for that extra 300. Yeah, man, the cable I think is $15 or something. Hold on. $17. So, Roy, I'm gonna put up on the page right now, and if you look in my in the AR636 programming series, in the description for those videos is a link to the USB cable. But this is what you need right here. I'm gonna go ahead and share that with the chat. So that is the piece that you need. You know, that's the cable you need to get. And then once you get that cable, you can follow along with in this AR636 programming series, part 21, right? So it's the last part. It'll tell you how to load the Spectrum prefabbed or pre-programmed SRM files into an AR636. So yeah, grab that cable, load up the Spectrum programmer software, import the Spectrum file into the Spectrum programmer, plug in your new AR636 that I sent out to you, get the thing registered, shoot the Spectrum program into it, and now you've got basically the same receiver that comes with the Bind and Fly model. So you will be good to go, man, and it will fly awesome. You will love it. Oh, y'all are talking about like real war. I never did any of that Afghanistan weird stuff, man. You know, the closest I got to that was like Dubai. And anybody that's been to Dubai, you know, I think can tell you that that's about as far away from being a war zone as you can get. Dubai is very nice. Very nice. Let's see. Yeah, Deuce is wild. Last week things got kind of sidetracked because I think GB Linden came in um, and was saying how he couldn't stream Real Flight, and I was like, well, let me see if I can stream Real Flight because it's got to work. You know, you're just streaming, and I fired up Real Flight, and the next thing you know, um, man, we were ripping it up. It was fun. It was fun. I had a lot of fun. Um, so yeah, I don't know how many of you guys have been to Guam, but man, talk about hot and humid. That's got to be one of the most hot and humid places on the planet. I mean, just hands down. Guam is just terrible. So is that MiG-15? Is that new? I feel like I got to check this out. All right, Michael Rajka, I see your question. Can I use the same settings you had on the Safe Modeler and program my 636 and install in my Avanti, providing the receiver orientation is correct and control surfaces are correct? You know, Michael, there's a reason that I have this Avanti sitting behind me. And the reason is that I told you a while back that I was gonna pull the config out of that thing and email it to you. And we're gonna do that right meow. With the whole world watching. So yeah, let me fire up my Spectrum programmer. And we're gonna do some live stuff right here. And let's fire that up also. Transition out. And let's see. All right, let me bring the chat back up too, so I don't miss any good stuff. All right, Michael, can you see what we're doing? So I've got the Spectrum programmer cable plugged into like a long USB extension here. And in my Avanti, because I keep the receiver kind of buried underneath the battery board, I can tell you right now the pins are facing forward and it's mounted just underneath the little multi-connector board in the battery bay. So I just have like a servo extension plugged into the bind connector because you can't get to the receiver anymore. And, you know, one of the other questions that someone had asked was, you know, if you have the power cable, or if you still have the receiver in the airplane, can you still use the power cable setting in the Spectrum software, which is right here, you know, this little power cable thing to send, you know, 500 milliamps across to power up the receiver? If it's in the airplane and you have all your servos connected, do not do that. Just plug in a battery to your ESC and it'll power up the receiver. So we're going to see that here in just a second. I'm going to go ahead and select the Avanti S. And now I've got it called up on my transmitter, so we can go ahead and plug it in. All right, so I know that I made some updates to the receiver. So we're going to use the device settings and pass the device settings into the computer. No, this is the 9-blade Outrunner version of the Avanti. So now I've got everything in here. So let's take a look at what my gain and priorities look like. So I'm at 50, 50, 0, 65, 65, 0. And they should be absolute all around. Awesome. My flight mode switch is aux2, which means that my panic button should be aux3. Aircraft type normal, surface setup. Let's see if I have any of them reversed. Yeah, so I've got the ailerons reversed, and that's it. But I do have a little bit of extra travel in the rudder because that's what it calls for. I've got a little extra travel in the elevator, just based on the stock servos. So if you have your pins, Michael, if you load this into your AR636 and you have your pins facing forward, it should behave pretty flippin' awesome. Just saying. Yeah, the lights. This Avanti is crazy, man. I love the lights on this thing. Port assignments and fail safes all look good. So I'm going to do a quick export on this. Let's go back here to the dashboard, models, more, export, Avanti S, safe, v1.0. Save. And then we're going to bring that up. I'm pretty happy with how it looks, Michael, in the Spectrum Programmer. I'm going to bring it up in the Save Model Builder as well, because I want to strip the serial number off of that profile. Yeah, so pins forward, label toward sky. Switch setup is standard on aux2 with panic on aux3. Flight modes. So like flight mode 3 on mine is set for gyro off. Flight mode 2 is gyro enabled. Flight mode 1 is safe with 45-degree bank angle limits, 40-degree up and 20-degree down angle limits. Panic mode, and a little bit of throttle to elevator mix when you've got safe enabled. All your advanced stuff is good with no roll or pitch. You may have to play with this on your own when you get it, but what we're going to do is 1.0 is go ahead and save this and strip the serial number off of it. And then save as save. And then I should be able to go back into my documents. And Spectrum, AR636, exported models, Avanti S, Safe V1.0, AR636. Michael Rajka, this is the file for you right here. And when we are done with the show tonight, shoot me a message in Facebook, and I will throw this on a Google Drive for you. Mark Z, what is going on? So I'm gonna unplug this thing. But not before we give it a little bit of gas, because that's always fun. I love this plane. All right. So now we can switch back over to the big camera. Michael Rajka there's your Avanti file. You can take that and load it right into your your AR636, and it's going to work awesome. The only thing that you might, so I only use safe, or I don't use safe really at all. But what I have noticed is it's got a little bit of a down angle, so you may want to add some trim to it. If you're not going to use the safe mode, if you just are going to have it in AS3X, it's going to fly awesome. The safe will point the nose down a little bit, which, you know, if you plan on flying it in safe with all of your, you know, bank angle limits and all that stuff, let me know. And either, you know, that's something that you'll have to tweak to get it just right. But if you're not going to fly it in safe, you really don't need to worry about it too much. You know, I've tested the panic button many times, and it will definitely get the plane out of some very bad situations, but the nose will be tilted down by about 2-3 degrees. So I could add, you know, the 3 degrees of difference into mine. But I, you know, because your receiver's not going to be mounted the exact same way mine is, there's obviously going to be some differences there. So when you load yours up, all the gains and everything should be right. But that will be one thing that you may need to tweak on yours, is the attitude when it's in its self-leveling mode. Yeah, so I didn't, let me show you what I did with this, because the progressive amber is still there, Bill. Yep, so with this, you know, if I'm holding it like this, you can see that the canopy is still that amber color, especially if I were to like shine a light through it. But what I did was the cockpit area underneath it, I painted black. And then I glued the canopy on. And that made a huge difference. So it looks like, you know, when you're looking at it like this, I mean, you can't tell that that's an amber canopy. It looks, you know, like it's blacked out, like it's a real dark tint. But, you know, when you hold it, you know, like this, you can see that it's still that same amber canopy, just with, you know, the seats and everything, instead of being that white color like they are when you first get it. Excuse me. They are now painted all black, and it makes a big difference. Yes, it is a lighting. It is trickery. See, and now that you know that, when you look at it, you can see through the canopy into the seats. So I on that Avanti, if you want to fly, if you want to land it in safe and take off in safe, that's fine. But what I have found with awesome, Michael, I'll send this to you here as soon as we're done with the show tonight. So what I do with the Avanti is I just put in a notch of flaps. I'll put it on takeoff flaps, and progressively just roll into the throttle. And I'll go ahead and give it full throttle, but I don't just like go from 0 to 100. I'll roll into the throttle nice and easy. Keep the thing centered on the runway. And as the airplane gets up to speed, it's just gonna pick up. It just picks right up. And the thing is so stupid stable now that it has, and I think that if you fly it first with AS3X. If you want to fly it with the gyro off, that's fine too. But first fly it with AS3X, and then if you don't like it, try it with safe. That's fine. But I don't think that you're going to need safe for the takeoff. Have you ever flown a Viper, Michael? Thanks, Bill. So, if you've flown a Viper, once you fly the Avanti with AS3X, the way I have it programmed in the profile that I'm going to be sending to you, you're not going to want to fly your Viper anymore, man. This Avanti is like locked in. Dude, I have flown this thing in like 20, 30 mile an hour winds, and it does not move. It is badass. I think you're really going to enjoy it. And it's got a lot more. Well, I don't want to say a lot, but it's definitely faster than the Viper, and it carries that speed a lot better. It carries the weight of the plane carries a lot better through the wind. It does not get knocked around at all, dude. This thing is just a beast with AS3X on it. Now, it's not going to keep the plane level for you while you're trying to land, so the safe will definitely help. But I think you'll like it. What's going on? My dogs are coming to visit.
Rusty, where is he?
I don't know. Is he outside?
Rusty.
What is Gooniac? I'm trying to like back up and see. But it's hard to keep up with you guys sometimes. I'm seeing something Gooniac talking about. Oh, he's talking about adjusting the gains. Yeah, George. So you can definitely bounce the Avanti. That's one thing that I found with it is it's so light. The wing loading is so light that if you come in, it's it's weird. If you come in too slow, it will it'll bounce. So now I'll bring in, either at no flaps or half flaps, to land the Avanti, because I don't like landing it with full flaps. I think it's got it's got too much lift. It gets too slow, and it teeters too much on the stall point. When you get down to where you're landing, and if you go too much faster, you're going to be stuck in ground effect forever because it's not wanting to fall out of the sky. So that's just my opinion. Pearl Jam, welcome to the show, man. So I don't have an L-39. Um, I've heard that they behave very similar to an Avanti. But I know that there's a lot of folks here that do have the L-39. So does anybody want to try to field that question for Pearl Jam? He's asking, does the L-39 land better with half flaps or full flaps? With the Avanti, I like half flaps better. That's just my opinion. I can carry a little more speed into the landing and grease it out a little better. Where I think it slows down a little too much with full flaps. Yeah, the other thing that the trailing link suspension on the Avanti does too, if and I mean, I would assume that most people have seen an Avanti, but if you haven't, I'll get out of the way here for a second and move my cheesy lawn chair and let you guys kind of take a look at the airplane. Because one of the things that this bird is known for is how it handles grass. As you can see, it's got some pretty large wheels. I want to say those are probably 2.25 or 2.5 inch wheels, and they're pretty soft. It's a pretty soft compound too there, so you can squeeze it, real nice, and they're easy to compress. Now the other thing that this has is a, a large amount of travel on the trailing links, right? So if you look at that thing, I mean, you can press that trailing link down and it'll dig in a little bit. And the same thing holds true for the rears. I mean, the whole plane has crazy suspension on it, and I always kind of poke fun at the Avanti for having like a monster truck suspension. It's got a crazy suspension, on the mains and the front landing gear. So, you know, I think it's awesome for like grass ops. So if you fly out of the grass, the Avanti is a great plane for that. Yeah, Shadow, she's told me that before. I didn't try it. Yep, and I'll tell you, I mean, I see some guys talking about like the admirals, and at least in my opinion, and this is just my opinion, so don't you know, don't give me the third degree, but like the RX 600 SP, that's a bit of a hit and miss for me. I've never had one, but I know a lot of people who have, and I have seen at least two airplanes, possibly more, three airplanes with the RX 600 SP just lose signal and die. The planes either went into trees or just lost control, fell out of the sky, you know, just did some weird stuff. Um, and, to me, when it comes to my airplanes, I mean, if you're going to spend $500 on an airplane and then go cheap on your receiver, that just doesn't make a lot of sense. So I am not at all picky, especially for these big free wing jets like this F-18 back here. $500 airplane. I would rather spend the $80 on an AR-636 and just think of that extra $50 as an insurance policy. Um, but having said that, I also haven't flown the FR Sky stuff, so I'm not gonna talk bad about something that I haven't either flown myself or you know been party witness firsthand, eyes on witness to something bad happening, and also, to be fair, all of the Admiral receivers that I have seen lose signal and Limit RX receivers that I've seen lose signal have lost signal on first gen Spectrum radios. They were running DSMX, but they were not, the dual diversity antennas in the transmitter. It was only single antennas on the transmitter. So, like an old, first gen DX8, um, and an old first gen, I think DX7. Um, that's what the guys were flying that lost those planes. So um, maybe the transmitter had something to do with it, but you know, I'll spend the extra money and get a uh, a receiver that I feel more comfortable with. That's just that's just how I roll. You don't have to buy Spectrum receivers. Um, I know they're expensive, man. I know they take us for a ride on those things, but I mean, for that, if that $50 is the insurance policy that's going to keep my plane in the sky when everybody else's are falling out of the freaking, you know, yeah, I don't want to take that risk. Yeah, and I may do that, Patrick. I may. Right, and that's what I was going to say. I know some folks that use the lemons and the admirals, and they have great success with them. Um, but again, it's kind of a hit and miss thing. That I can't say that I've ever seen a DSMX receiver fail, like a real Spectrum DSMX receiver. All of the planes that I have seen that have had radio issues have been third party receivers on the yeah. So, Spectrum transmitter, Spectrum receiver, no problems. FR Sky transmitter, FR Sky receiver, no problems. Um, FR Sky transmitter, with a DSMX receiver, And I've seen, some issues with running spectrum transmitters and, and weird, third party stuff like the lemons and the admirals. Um, I, I assumed that it probably had more to do with those particular folks using first gen spectrum transmitters rather than it being a problem with the receivers. But if I was going to try them out, I would want to try them on an airplane I didn't care about that much, if that makes sense. Patrick, are you talking about like the new Spectrum sport receivers, like the 4 and 6 channel sport receivers with no gyro in them? Yep, and those things are pretty reasonably priced too. I want to say they're like 30 $30 for the 4 channel, maybe. Let me take a look. Aircraft receivers. Yeah, so the 6 channel AR620 is $40, and the AR410 is $30. Yeah, so $30 for the 4 channel sport receiver and $40 for the 6 channel sport receiver. So not bad. I'm still waiting on, the freaking this big dog. And I have no idea when it's going to come out, but when it does, I'm going to have one. And I don't care that it's $100. I'm spending $100 on it. And that's this guy right here. That AR637T. I have a feeling that this and we've already seen it, with the P51, that this is this is the future of Spectrum. That's what they're going to start putting in their bind and fly airplanes. Maybe not wholesale, all of them getting it today, but at some point, there's going to be a lot of these receivers in airplanes. The same, kind of, I guess, the same way that the AR636 is in all the bind and fly models. Well, when the AR636 finally gets discontinued and everything that they're putting out has smart technology, I mean, this is what we're going to start seeing in the smart airplanes. And I have a feeling that like over the next couple of years, 2 years from now, this may be the only receiver that we're seeing in new airplanes. So I'm looking forward to getting my hands on one. They're still, they're not on back order, they're on pre-order, but they're expecting them in late February. That used to say late January. Who knows when they're actually going to come in? I hope sooner than later. I hope they do actually show up in late February, because man, I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited. I'm excited about the AR637T. I know it's silly to get you know, it's silly to get like all worked up over a little piece of electronic gadgetry for our airplanes, man. But um, that's one of those things that I think is really going to like change the game for folks that want to buy a Spectrum receiver, or maybe they want to get like an FMS airplane, or they want to get a flight line, they want to get a free wing, you know, they want to get a um, crap. They what? They want to get an HSD. And for those folks, what receiver do they buy? And maybe some of them are going to require multi-channel receivers that need more than 6 channels. But for the guys that they only need 6 channels, man, I can see that AR637 becoming really popular, especially for the folks that want that smart technology. They want all that telemetry. They want, they want all of the cool factor that comes with having, that smart receiver and the forward programming, the AS3X, everything that they like in the Horizon bind and fly models, I think is going to be even more accessible in other models when that 637 comes out. And the jury, is still out on that one. We'll see. you know, the the need or want for smart technology. When I bought my Viper, so here was kind of the beginning of the smart thing for me. When I bought my Viper, that was my first. Um, that was my first airplane that I bought that needed 6S batteries. I bought it at Hobbytown. Patrick knows where I was. I mean, we have a Hobbytown right up the street from us. Um, and when I bought that plane, the only 6S battery that they had a 4,000 milliamp 50C smart battery. That was it. And I was like, huh, so let me get this smart battery. And then I went back, a couple of days later, and I was like, hey, this battery can do some neat stuff, because I didn't know much about them at the time. So then I got, the smart charger and the smart checkers and more smart batteries. And yes, it is a giant hobby town. I guess saying that we have a hobby town up the street is is a bit of an understatement. It did used to be a movie theater, and it is giant. Like giant. It's a big hobby town. And yeah, ever since I have started messing around with this smart stuff, and it's not like a need, but now that I have it, um, I'm kind of the opinion that like it works so good that I can see what the potential is there for it. Um, Especially with the new stuff coming out, right? So maybe the batteries alone, maybe that wasn't enough to really boil people's blood, right? Maybe the chargers alone, maybe the smart checker alone, and the ISDT smart checker, very similar to the, to the Spectrum smart checker. I mean, there's little stuff there, but Spectrum, they're going above and beyond, and they're turning this into an entire ecosystem, and that's where I really see the potential. It's not so much the battery or or the charger, or it's not just one specific piece that I'm excited about. It's the entire ecosystem. So when I couple that battery with a smart capable receiver and a smart capable ESC and a smart capable transmitter, you know, that's $100 or more of telemetry modules that I don't even have to buy. Because it's going to have all that functionality like built in. It's going to pass me, how much current am I pulling? It's going to pass me motor RPMs. It's going to pass me, if my battery is failing in flight. It's going to pass me, the amount of current that I'm pulling from my ESC. It's going to pass all that data. Um, and even though I don't look at that data, those are still things that I can have alarms set to trigger in my radio where I don't have to have a timer anymore, right? And to me, that's awesome. If I can, and it sounds so stupid, right? Like, if I can get one more minute of flight out of my batteries, I think that's awesome. Um, you know, and if I can spread that across, you know, 200 charge cycles, 300 charge cycles, well, now I've gotten, 300 more minutes of flight out of that battery than I would have if I was just going off of timers alone. So I really like the idea of having all that telemetry data. And the other thing that I kind of see this playing into, and we've talked about it before on the show, is when the FAA does decide to strike, depending on how they want remote ID, and I really don't think it's an if or when thing. I think it's more of a when. And even though they won't be able to enforce it, I think that Spectrum is going to be right there, ready to go on day one. And this is the stuff that's going to make it happen. Add a GPS module and you're done. So, we'll see. Up, Jeff in Lower Alabama. Hello, sir. Fred Barron, RC, welcome to the show. Thank you guys all for coming tonight. I just got here. What is going on, man? Yeah. I mean, we're all going to keep flying our old stuff. Steve, welcome to the show. How are you? Yeah, we should all keep flying our old stuff. And there's nothing wrong with that. If I had a whole bunch of old stuff laying around, that'd be awesome, and I would fly the crap out of it. But, I am a bit of a gadgety person. Like when the IX-12 came out, I mean, it wasn't. Look, I was still a pretty new RC pilot when I got my IX-12. I think that I maybe only had 2 planes when I got that thing. So, it was one of those things that I had to have, because I love, silly gadgets. Yeah, and I love it, and I remember telling you, Patrick, when it went on sale, and it wasn't too long after it came out. I was like, oh man, the IX-12 is on sale right now for like $500, and I had to get one. Now, a lot of people already had like a DX9 or whatever, and that's what I wanted. I was looking to buy a DX9, but the IX-12 at the time was on sale for the same price as a DX9. Man, I couldn't help it. I had to have it, and I'm glad that I got it. So now I've got like this gadgety stuff, and it just seems to be the right time. I feel like I got in the hobby at the right time for me to get into the hobby, for a gadgety type person that wants to play with little electronic toys, and computer stuff and whatever. So, now that we've got all this smart stuff coming out. I'm like, check it out, man. I have like tech geeky stuff built into my batteries, into my chargers, into my little checkers. It's got a servo checker in it. That's awesome. It's got a sweet little screen, and I can, it's so much more intuitive than trying to hook up like a power source to one of them janky little or servo checkers. Y'all know the ones I'm talking about, where you have to like take the balance lead of your battery pack and like plug it in and hope you don't fry the thing. So, you know, I it just seems like I picked the great time for a computer nerd, geeky type person to join the hobby, because all this stuff is coming out just at the right time for me in my progression in the hobby. Like, it just so happens that I wanted a P51, and now they come out with this P51 that's all geekified. Man, I gotta have it. Yep, yep, Patrick. What a dick. Yep. So now I'll have, now I'll be able to get this P51, and it's already going to have a lot of this smart stuff in it, but I don't know how restricted it's going to be. So that's one reason I want to get it, because that AR637TA that they're selling in the P51, maybe it's got some restrictions in it that the AR637T will not have, which is why I have to have both in my hands so I can pass that along to you guys and let you guys know what's what. And someday we'll see, man. It, maybe other people, when they jump on board, they'll be like, man, all that great stuff that Dave put out, that really helped me buy this stuff. And maybe then I'll have some affiliate links and you can buy them from my channel. But today, you know, today, go help our friend Pilot Ryan. Oh, nice. Nice, Josh. Yep. There's quite a few of us missile launching types in the Navy. Steve, I have not. Um, and the reason for that is because I don't want to mess with. I could get an Avian ESC right now, and I could get, an AR620 right now, but I also want to have the AS3X stuff, right? Because I just like AS3X. I like how it, um, I like the gyro stuff, especially on faster planes. With an AR620, I guess I could put the smart stuff on like my Bigfoot for relatively cheap, and upgrade it because I don't need a gyro like on the Bigfoot. Um, so I could probably get like an AR620 for $40 and a little 45 amp ESC or even a 30 amp ESC, and get the whole Bigfoot upgraded to smart technology for 60, $70, somewhere around there. They are tasty. I especially like my gyros with sheep or lamb meat. Yum. Sheep. I think they call that a hero. I do enjoy a good hero. Don't they have a place? I think there's a place in Hiram called Hero City. Or something like that. There's some kind of gyro hero place that I can order crap from on on DoorDash. We use the crap out of some DoorDash. Sorry. Sorry, I'm trying to catch up with the chat, guys. I'm not like intentionally not trying to talk or pay attention. I'm a terrible show host. I don't look at the camera. I'm looking at the computer screen so I can read along and answer questions that anybody may have. Which, by the way, guys, if you are here because you found about my channel because of the AR636 programming series, thank you guys, for the new folks to the show. We do a show every Monday. The topics are always a little bit random, but I also want you guys to know that I am, I'm pretty good about following along with the chat and answering questions. If you use the if you ask questions in the comments on the videos, I will absolutely get to them as soon as I can, and they'll be preserved for the life of that video on YouTube. But if you have questions and you come here to get the answers, and I'll just talk to you. Like for example, tonight, Michael Rajka, who just talked about using DoorDash to get Dairy Queen, which that's awesome. I used DoorDash to get Chick-fil-A once. I felt like a slug, but I didn't feel like leaving my house, and I just had somebody bring it to me. But anyway, Michael Rajka tonight was asking me about this Avanti, and we had talked about doing an AR636 for his Avanti once upon a time. The first time I mentioned it on one of my shows, which had to have been weeks ago. But since then, I've like moved houses. There's been a bunch of crazy stuff going on in my life, so I've kind of been playing catch up. But tonight he was like, "Hey, can I do this?" And I was like, "You know what? Let me get this Avanti." And I knew I got it down for a reason. The reason I got it down was to take my AR636 settings and export them from the airplane back into my PC and upload them. I'm going to email those over to Michael Rajka. So I do pay attention to the chat. If you have any questions, have them right here in the chat. Ask away, and I will answer whatever I can. And welcome to the channel. Thank you for coming out. I am, Patrick. I mean, that's the key to success. I've found is don't ever really try to learn anything in life. Just make shit up. And if you can sound convincing and come across like you know what you're talking about and say that shit with some conviction, fake it till you make it, baby. Yes, exactly. So, Fred Barron, I see you had. So can reuse the A636. Are you asking if you can reuse the AR636? Love RC, welcome to the show. Dude, that's my plan, Fred Barron. If I can't dazzle them with brilliance, baffle them with bullshit. What's up, Love RC? Hey, thank you guys for coming out. Make sure you hit the like button too on the show. I should go to my own show and hit the like button right now, because that that seems like the right thing to do. I'm gonna hit the live button, hit the like button on my own show. Yeah, Patrick, I remember that. I was a little worried about that thing, because I was a little worried about it. I'll just say that. Because you had stuff reversed inside the transmitter, and I was like, it just don't feel right, man. It just don't feel right. um, Joe Kirsch. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Yeah, that stupid little Bluetooth thing. So this is what was bad on yours, right, Patrick? You went and got another one from our giant movie theater size Happy Town, and it worked fine. No, EQ. Look, man, I do not. Thanks, Guniac. I do not badmouth gyros at all. Man, I just made like a 23 video series on gyros. Are you kidding me? I don't think they're bad at all. I love gyros. I think they're amazing. And I think that they get a bad rap. I think that there are folks out there that think that a gyro somehow flies the plane for you. And I can tell anybody that has crashed a plane with a gyro in it can attest to the fact that a gyro does not fly your airplane. It does not fly your airplane. You are still in full control. And that's the thing that I love about the AR-636. If you look through those videos, and you'll see at some point we start talking about something called stick priority, and how close to the center you're getting full gain, and as if you move off the center, now you're in full control of that airplane, and there is no more gyro correcting anything anymore. That, man, the AR-636, that is the bread and butter of that gyro. So I love them, man. I think that gyros are amazing, and not just for smaller planes. I think that it makes everything. I think it makes every airplane fly like a full scale airplane would or should. And that was the intent. That was the goal, was to get these things flying better. So, I think Spectrum knocked it out of the park with the AR-636, and that's what I love about them, man. They take that weird kind of getting blown around by the wind thing. It completely eliminates, well, not completely. A well-tuned one will add a ton of buffer to a really bad day otherwise, where you can fly them in the wind, you can fly them in turbulence, you can fly them on unpredictable days, but it's still not going to land that plane for you in a nasty crosswind. You still have to know how to fly. So, yeah, that's all it does. It smooths out the bumps. If I wanted the thing to be, getting thrown all around, I mean, that's just not my idea of fun. I think that, the gyro, making it where I don't have to worry about, the little bitty corrections, makes it where I have more fun flying. I enjoy myself more flying. And like I said, anybody on here that has wrecked a plane with AS3X or any other kind of gyro for that matter can absolutely attest to the fact that gyros don't fly shit. You are still the pilot in command. And you can absolutely still put a plane with a gyro or safe or anything else that's supposed to assist you in flying. You can put those in the ground. You can wreck them. You can put them in the trees. you are still the pilot in command. You still have to make that plane go where you want it to. So, there you go. Yes. And I addressed that, you know, and I think that at some point someone's going to give me a bunch of crap about, well, hey man, you know, in your video series where the video comes up and you say that, you know, this is the video about installing the AR-636 in your airplane, but you didn't actually install anything in an airplane. You just talked about it. Man, I think that there is some important stuff in that video that needs to be said. You know, like, don't mount your gyro with freaking hot glue, because if you're flying on a hot day and your hot glue decides that it doesn't want to stay sticky anymore, guess what's going to happen to your gyro? It's flopping around inside your battery compartment, and now your plane is just doing corkscrews and whirly-birds, and, you know, the end is all flopping around, and next thing you know, whack, right in the ground. Yeah. It'll be 3D for about 30 seconds, if you get that much time. Yes. And that's why I program my AR-636s the way that I do. I have one switch that's gyro off completely, one switch that's gyro on, and one that's safe. So yes, to some degree, it's like safe select with an off switch, where I can turn AS3X off completely, because sometimes I don't want it. You know, if for whatever reason that receiver ever comes loose, I want the ability to turn it off, and I will land it on my own, man. What is up, Mary Boozers? How you doing, man? Yep, I want the ability to turn that gyro off. So that is some of the methodology behind why I set up the one, you know, set mine up the way I do. You know, the AR-636 has 3 flight modes. One of those flight modes, I will always have the gyro turned all the way off. One of them, I will have it with just the gyro. Then the third one will be safe, and it will have a panic button on all 3 modes. And I never use safe, but, you know, it's good to have for something, I'm sure. I like having the safe there so I can use it as kind of a like long-term, like when I turn it on, it allows me to see what the effects of the panic button are going to be and how it self-levels, and if I need to tweak the self-leveling, I can do it in the safe mode instead of having, you know, the panic button pressed for like 10 seconds. So that's why I use it. I hardly ever fly in safe. The only planes that I fly in safe are my hand tosses. And the hand tossers, I only have safe on when I launch them, and then I turn it right off. Who'd you make mad with your videos? So, which video? The one where you were flying the Ultrix? Yeah. So that's what I enjoy the crap out of, like the 64 millimeter F-15, the F-16. Patrick, that P-47 that you gave me that was on the table back here for a couple of episodes. In fact, for almost the entire AR-636 series, that little P-47 was sitting behind me. I dig the shit out of having safe on those planes for hand launching them. You know, just crank up the freaking throttle, wait for the thing to start pulling away from you, and then just launch it up in the plane, right hand launch, and go. Um, and then as soon as I've got my hands like situated back on the transmitter, I flip it out of safe, and I'm off to the races. So using GPS, I guess the gain will adjust based on the speed. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, that's badass, George Watts. Uh, yeah, That's the first one of those I've heard of that has like a man. What would they call that? Almost like progressive gain. So as I keep using that word progressive, that's the word of the night. And thanks, Wes, man. I appreciate it. It's somebody had to do it, man. If not me, then who? Um, that was just one of those, man. That was one of those series of videos that uh, you know. I don't think there's not a lot of people out there that have the patience to do it. I'm not. Yeah, I'm not. My channel is too young, and I don't have enough airplanes to put out like flight reviews. So I was like, man, what can I do that's going to bring some value? Let me do some AR-636 programming videos. And maybe in retrospect, that was a terrible idea because I tell you, it took weeks to film that shit. Weeks. Yeah, George Watts, that's awesome. Um, that's pretty awesome. Now, do you have to like set up like a baseline gain at a certain speed and then so fly it at this speed and set the gain where you want it, and then fly it at top speed and set the gain where you want it, and it kind of figures it out from there. It just uses that A and B point with the speeds. Uh, Thanks, guys. Y'all are so nice. Yep. So listen, I don't want to. I almost smashed the T-33. Someone told me they wanted an inverted pass. Oh no! But you didn't smash it, did you? You almost smashed it. They wanted an inverted pass. I got a little brave. She was about 3 inches off the deck. So, man, who asked you for an inverted pass? Man, that might have been me. Might have been me. I may have said something to the effect of, man, Wes, when you go out and you fly that plane, we want inverted passes with the rudder this high off the ground. I want the rudder like this high off the ground. Like scraping the paint off at the top of the rudder. That's what I'm looking for. Oh, that's funny. Michael, those are on a separate computer. I don't keep those on this computer. This computer is just for airplane stuff. So, listen, we've been going for a couple of hours, and I know that like it's been a while since we've had a topic to talk about, and we always end up finding something to talk about. Um, and there's just not a lot of new stuff coming out. So we'll always figure out something though. Next week, I think we're gonna have a great show. Um, I've got something really special coming. I'm not gonna tell you guys what it is, but there's a couple of very select few people that know, and Jackson. Uh, Hopefully by this time. Oh, there's new stuff coming out. There is new stuff coming out. Um, Hopefully, this time next week, the answer to your question will finally be answered. That my Havoc will be getting flown this weekend, and it's gonna have some new things in it that are gonna make it awesome. Yeah, I know, right? Suspense. Um, and I think that I hope to have a video out maybe Sunday, maybe Saturday night, because the flight videos are certainly a hell. Now that I've edited that stupid AR636 series, man, I am a pro at my video editing software. so, so I can whip out the flight videos now really quick. But yeah, we're gonna try to get the Havoc built. We're gonna try to get the flight video done and the special addition to the Havoc that I think that everybody is just gonna love, and someone's gonna be getting someone's gonna be getting some business next week. I just have a feeling. Yep. Thanks, guys. Patrick, my Blue Angel, that F-18 is the only plane I've got that does not have a. Oh, thanks, man. What, the Avanti or just the whole aura of the background? Yep. I I put a lot of effort into getting it to look this good, man. So anyway, the Blue Angel, I may fly that again, but before the whole ambiance, before I fly that again, I want to put an AR636 in there. So that is, oh, Wild Bill. See, I thought you were saying that my internet was out, and I'm like sitting here looking at the stream and looking at all the stats and looking at my computer and like looking at the YouTube, and I'm like, it all looks good, man. What's he talking about? It hasn't been streaming for the last hour, but people have been talking to me. So, yeah, the for the Blue Angel, and this was probably a horrible idea in retrospect. Um, and I probably should have done it with a lesser airplane. I put a Hobby Eagle gyro in the Blue Angel when I know the AR636. Like I should have put an AR636 in it, and I would have felt more comfortable with it. Maybe not on the day that I had to hand you the controls and be like, land it, please. But I would have felt more comfortable with how I was adjusting the airplane and how everything was going to work out in the end, and getting the gains right and all that stuff on the gyro. I don't know why I got that Hobby Eagle. It was because I already had a big giant 9-channel Spectrum transmitter. No, I had a big 9-channel Spectrum receiver. And I was like, well, I'm just going to get one of these Hobby Eagle gyros and try it out. And it works fine, but I just don't like it. It's big and bulky, and it takes up too much space in the battery compartment. And I like the AR636 for that type of situation where, you got a whole bunch of wires all over the place. You don't have enough room for all that crap in in that F-18. So before I fly it again, I'm going to put an AR-636 in it and pull out that Hobby Eagle gyro and put it into something else. Um, and I'll probably put it on one of those AR-620. Oh, that's what I should do. I should go get like one of those AR-620s and an avian receiver or an avian ESC and turn one of these other planes into smart, and I can still have gyro because I'll have that big fat daddy Hobby Eagle in there. But do it in a plane that's got more room for it, you know? That's all I'm saying. I just need more room for that Hobby Eagle gyro in an airplane, and that F-18 does not have a lot of room for that kind of stuff. So, anyway, once I get that done, I'll take it out and fly it again. The Avanti has an AR-636 hiding under the it is hiding under the control board. John Noons, I love the idea. See, you're going to get me carried away on another subject, man. I'm trying to wrap the show up. But my answer to you, John Noons, is the AR-637T. I'm really excited about it. I want one now, but they're not going to release it until like February. All you jokers that have the P51 can suck it. That have the AR-637TA, you know, the non-retail version of the AR-636 or 637T. So like Wes has one, Ryan has one, Farmer Man has one, you know, and y'all ain't gonna love that thing the way I'm gonna love it. I'm gonna love that thing special. I'm gonna love that thing nice. Oh my God, Michael Honeycheck. I hope that's not true, man, about like that number of people that are that are infected in China. I really hope that this virus doesn't like kill a bunch of people. Oh, and before I go, guys, you know, I, I have to say it. You know, I know that the guy has some, you know, has some checkered things happening in his past, but you know, in the last couple of weeks, we've lost two absolute legends in their game. So the first loss that I didn't mention, Neil Peart, legendary, one of the best drummers on the planet. I don't like to put people in like these categories and stuff like that and say like Neil Peart was the best drummer ever. I mean, some could argue that, but the guy was absolutely legendary, one of the best drummers on the planet, died of brain cancer. And the only reason I bring up this next one, it happened yesterday. Kobe Bryant died in a helicopter crash yesterday. Legendary basketball player. Know some people didn't like him, but you know, you can't take away that he was a legend of basketball, and it's always sad to see the legends go. Um, it just is, especially like that, man. Of it being like a freaking aviation incident. I hate it when people go like that. Stevie Ray Vaughan, uh, back in 1990, died in a helicopter crash. Legendary guitar player. And those are the ones that stick, man. Those are the ones that people remember. Is when legends fall, man. So it is what it is. So yeah, Neil Peart, man, awesome. Yeah, exactly, exactly, Patrick. I am not. I've ridden in a couple of helicopters, and I do not. That is not my preferred method of travel. Joe. Um, Joe Habib, do you have Facebook? All right. Joe, if you are a member of the RC Pilots Lounge Facebook group, I am going to leave a link to a Google Share drive where you can download my Avanti S save profile for my AR636. Um, and I'll tell you how to orient the receiver in the airplane in order to get it to function correctly. You'll be able to download it directly. Jackson, I was saying that earlier. We are going to fly that Havoc. I'm going to try to get that thing out this weekend and get a video up hopefully Saturday or Sunday, depending on weather. Hold on. Let me look at the forecast right now, my man. Let me see what the weather's going to look like. Woo! Saturday is cloudy. Sunday looks like it's going to be sunny. Um, if it's not raining on Saturday, we're going to go out and fly it on Saturday and then get a video up on Sunday. Um, Hopefully, the parts that I'm waiting for the Havoc, the thing that I've been waiting on for the Havoc, is going to get here this week. I hope. It was sent on Saturday, so I'm waiting for a special piece to make the Havoc whole. And then once it gets here, and you get, man, y'all are going to love it. Y'all are going to love it. Nope. Jackson, even if this one is a crash, it's going to be the most epic Havoc crash you ever saw. So, anyway, guys, I'm going to go ahead and get this thing wrapped up. This has been awesome. I appreciate you guys coming in. Everybody who found their way here through the AR636 videos, thank you so much for subscribing to my channel. Thanks for tuning into the live show. Thanks for all your questions. Keep them coming. And it motivates me to keep making these things. I'm probably going to do another one on the DXE transmitter because, you know, why the heck not? It's kind of the same and uses all the same parts and pieces. And the DXE just gets a really bad rap for being kind of a crappy transmitter. And there's no doubt that it is. But I think that a lot of people think that it's a lot less capable than it is, too. It's actually a really capable transmitter if you've got the right parts and pieces. A lot like the AR636, man. The AR636 got a bad rap too. So anyway, I'm going to let you guys, have the rest of your night back. I'm going to sign out. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, hit the notification icon, ring the bell so you're notified when new videos come out. Always check the description of the videos in the description. Down below, if you want to support the channel, there's a PayPal link in there. So, any kind of contributions, big or small, go to help the channel and help us get new things to try and do. And everything that we have been able to do, this extra, this awesome thing that I'm putting on the Havoc, came from contributions from folks like you who watch the channel, who made some contributions using PayPal. That's awesome. Thank you guys so much. Those of you that have made contributions. And for everybody else, I mean, it's certainly not a requirement. I love you no matter what. Everybody else, we will see you guys in Facebook. We'll see you. Find me on Instagram. Find me on Twitter. Find me on Facebook. I'm Dave Marshall on Facebook. I'm in the RC Pilots Lounge every day reading stuff. Like I said, the AR636 profile for this Avanti is going to go on the RC Pilots Lounge here in a little bit. I'll put a Google Drive link up there where you guys can download it and use it in your own AR636 in your Avanti. And man, that thing is locked in. And that's all I got, guys. Thank you so much again for coming out. Everybody have a great night. And Shoot me some messages. Let me know what else you want to see, because I'm down. Let's make it. I made an AR-636 series, dude. I'll make anything. So, y'all have a great night, guys. We will see you next Monday.